The Church of St. Peter and Paul the Apostles, located in Ukraine's Ternopil region, is praying for the independence of the Ukrainian Church from Moscow. A year ago, in the village of Kinakhivtsi, there was a battle for which Parish could conduct church services there. The reason for the conflict was a Moscow Patriarchate priest who refused to pay for Ukrainian soldiers and called the war in eastern Ukraine a civil war. Residents of the village had the church transferred to the Kiev Patriarchate. Those who were against the transfer now go to a church in the neighboring village.
We do not mind. We have never refused those who support the Moscow Patriarchate to come to our church. However, they feel uncomfortable about it. They also took away all the church attributes from our temple. They took the crosses and even the gospel.
Bishop Afanasy says that Moscow is losing its church influence in Ukraine. He added that despite the fact that the local government has allocated only a 2-story building with no electricity, gas, and water, the number of parishioners of the Kiev Patriarchate Church is still growing.
A lot of people come to me. Many of them come from villages and want the Kiev Patriarchate in their villages. However, many of them are afraid. They are afraid of persecution by the Moscow Patriarchate. There have already been cases when the parishes, together with the church, wanted to switch to the Kiev Patriarchate. Then there was intimidation. As a result, they were afraid to get in touch.
The confrontation between the two largest religions in Ukraine has now lasted for almost 3 decades. The struggle began after the separation of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church into the Kiev and Moscow Patriots in 1990.
They wanted to subordinate the entire Ukrainian church, but they did not succeed. And that church, which did not submit to them, turned into the largest Orthodox Church. Due to the fact that there is the Kiev Patriarchate, Putin cannot occupy the entire territory of Ukraine.
Since the beginning of the process of recognizing the Ukrainian Church as independent, Russia is increasingly trying to pressure Constantinople. The visit of the metropolitans of the Moscow Patriarchate, together with the well-known pro-Russian businessman Vadim Novitsky, to the Patriarchate's residence in Istanbul is not an accidental one. The delegation asked to postpone the provision of Tomos, an official church document, on the autocephaly to the Orthodox Church in Ukraine, explaining this by the fact that there is no unity among the confessions.
Tomos is just a document. The Tomos itself will not bring unity. The autocephaly itself will not bring unity. It has to be the result of unification. Tomos is the result of the process, and we have the following situation. First, let's get Tomos, and then we'll unite.
As soon as the delegation arrived in Kiev, the bishop of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchate accepted a statement against the provision of autocephaly. However, despite all attempts to convince Constantinople that Ukraine does not need autocephaly, the ecumenical patriarch at one of the services recalls the events that happened 332 years ago. Back then, the Kiev metropolis moved to the Moscow Patriarchate. This reply to Moscow, according to the Kiev Patriarchate, is a sign that Ukraine will receive the Tomos. They say it could happen in August or September of this year. However, the obstacles from the Russian Orthodox Church are not easily surpassed. Theologians admit that in the case of getting Tomos, a single local church will include at least half of the parishes of the Moscow Patriarchate.
Moscow has declared long ago that it would oppose the union in every possible way, as well as the provision of Tomos. This is geopolitics. Of course, this is also the idea of the Russian world in Ukraine, which has been carried out only through the possibilities of the Moscow Patriarchate Church in Ukraine over the past 10-15 years. This is certainly a big blow to the ideological work of the Church in Ukraine.
As soon as Ukraine receives Tomos, Moldova, Belarus, and Kazakhstan may declare their intention to obtain the same status.
Now, the Moscow Patriarchate is actually dominating. It represents the largest Orthodox Church, which includes about 34,000 Orthodox churches. But what is remarkable, in Russia itself, there are only 17. If all Orthodox churches are united in Ukraine, then we get 18,000, which automatically moves Russia from the first to the second, and even maybe to third place.
Before providing Tomos to Ukraine, the delegation of Constantinople has to inform all unified local Orthodox churches about this decision. The relevant decision will be made at one of the closest synods of the Patriarchate of Constantinople.